What if the next world conflict doesn't start in Ukraine, Taiwan, or the Middle East, but in Southeast Asia? In 2026, the world's biggest superpowers, the United States, China, Russia, and even the EU, are quietly shifting their attention to one region that most people still ignore. No tanks on TV, no breaking news wars, just silent moves, secret deals, military partnerships, and billions of dollars flowing into ports, islands, and cities across Southeast Asia. This region sits at the heart of global trade. More than 1/3 of the world's shipping passes through these waters. Whoever controls Southeast Asia doesn't just control trade, they control leverage, and leverage is power. That's why, behind closed doors, superpowers are competing for influence in Vietnam, Indonesia, the Philippines, Malaysia, and Thailand. They're building bases, funding infrastructure, selling weapons, and shaping governments without ever declaring a war. The scary part? Most people don't even realize it's happening. Because this is not a loud war, it's a silent war. And in 2026, this silent battlefield may decide who rules the world in the next decade. Point 1. Southeast Asia is the world's economic choke point. Southeast Asia is not just a group of beautiful islands and tourist cities. It is the spinal cord of global trade. At the center of this power lies one narrow waterway, the Strait of Malacca. Every single day, ships carrying oil, food, electronics, and raw materials move through this corridor. China, Japan, South Korea, and much of Europe depend on it. If this route is blocked, even for a few days, global markets would shake, fuel prices would explode, supply chains would collapse, entire economies would feel the pain. That's why superpowers are obsessed with this region. For China, Southeast Asia is a lifeline. Nearly all of its imported energy passes through these waters. A single disruption could paralyze its factories. This fear even has a name in Beijing, the Malacca Dilemma. For the United States, controlling these sea lanes means maintaining global dominance. The U.S. Navy already patrols the region, but now it's strengthening alliances with the Philippines, Singapore, and Vietnam, quietly surrounding China's access points. Even India and Japan are stepping in, investing in ports and security deals, knowing that whoever gains influence here gains the upper hand in any future conflict. This isn't about geography, it's about control. No missiles are flying, no headlines are screaming, yet beneath the surface, Southeast Asia has become the most valuable chessboard on Earth. Every port, every island, every alliance is a move in a game that could decide the next global order. And this is only the beginning. Point 2. Military bases without war, the silent expansion. Superpowers are no longer invading countries with armies. They are doing something far more effective, embedding themselves quietly. In 2026, Southeast Asia is witnessing a wave of defense cooperation agreements. These sound harmless on paper: joint exercises, training programs, rotational troop presence, port access rights. But in reality, they are building the architecture of future wars without firing a single shot. The United States has dramatically expanded its access to military sites in the Philippines, placing troops just minutes away from Taiwan and the South China Sea. China, in response, is deepening defense ties with Cambodia and Myanmar, gaining influence over ports and airfields that could one day host Chinese forces. Even smaller nations like Singapore and Vietnam are being courted by both sides. Each superpower promises protection, investment, and technology, but every deal comes with invisible strings. This creates a dangerous balance. Countries in Southeast Asia are trying to stay neutral. They don't want to become pawns, but neutrality is becoming harder each year. When one power builds a radar station, the other responds with warships. When one side hosts an exercise, the other launches a counter-drill. It looks peaceful on the surface. Underneath, it's an arms race. And here's the real risk. If a future crisis erupts over Taiwan, trade, or territory, these temporary bases become launch pads. The region transforms overnight from tourist paradise into frontline territory. The tragedy? The people living there never voted for this. They wake up to new runways, new ports, new partners, but they are standing on land that superpowers have already marked on their maps. This is how modern empires expand, not with conquest, with contracts. And Southeast Asia is signing them, one by one. Point 3. The technology war hidden inside Southeast Asia. This battle is not just happening at sea or in military bases. It's happening inside factories, data centers, and silicon labs across Southeast Asia. In 2026, superpowers are racing to control the technology backbone of the region. Why? Because the future of power is not oil. It's chips, data, and networks. Vietnam, Malaysia, and Singapore are becoming critical hubs for semiconductor manufacturing. As tensions rise between China and the West, companies are shifting production away from risky zones. Southeast Asia is the safe alternative, and whoever dominates this supply chain controls the digital world. The United States and its allies are pouring billions into trusted chip ecosystems. China is responding by building parallel networks, 5G systems, cloud infrastructure, AI labs, often through massive investment packages that poorer countries can't refuse. This creates invisible borders. One city runs on Western technology, another is built on Chinese systems. Two digital worlds emerge inside the same region. And here's the danger. Technology shapes loyalty. A country that runs on Chinese networks will think twice before opposing Beijing. A nation tied into American systems becomes dependent on US protection. Over time, infrastructure becomes influence. No troops needed, no occupation required. Control the software, control the future. Even undersea cables, the veins of the internet, are now strategic assets. Routes are being rerouted, data centers fortified. Every server farm becomes a piece of national security. Most people see new buildings and faster internet. Superpowers see leverage. Southeast Asia is becoming the testing ground for a new kind of empire, one built not with flags, but with fiber optic cables and microchips. And once a country's digital spine is built, changing sides becomes almost impossible. This war is silent. Point 4. Money as a weapon. How investments become influence. In the modern world, power doesn't always arrive on warships. Sometimes it arrives as a loan. Across Southeast Asia, superpowers are using money as their most effective weapon. Ports, highways, railways, smart cities, power plants, everything is being financed by foreign giants. On the surface, it looks like development. In reality, it's strategic positioning. China's Belt and Road Initiative has already reshaped the region. From rail lines in Laos to ports in Cambodia and Malaysia, billions of dollars are building infrastructure that physically ties these nations to Beijing. When a country owes its growth to one power, its freedom quietly shrinks. The West is now responding. The United States, Japan, and the EU are launching alternative investment programs, promising cleaner, safer, more transparent development. But the goal is the same: influence the future path of these nations. Every highway is a potential supply route. Every port is a future naval hub. Every power grid is a pressure point. Smaller Southeast Asian countries are caught in the middle. They need the money, they want growth, but each deal pushes them closer to one side of the global divide. This is how modern empires are built, not by conquering land, by financing it. And when debt rises, choice disappears. A nation struggling to repay billions cannot easily oppose the hand that feeds it. Votes at the United Nations shift, military cooperation changes, foreign policy slowly bends. The battlefield is no longer just maps and borders, it's balance sheets. In 2026, Southeast Asia is not being invaded, it is being bought. And the highest bidder is not just buying roads, they are buying tomorrow. Point 5. Southeast Asia's impossible choice: power or independence. Southeast Asia does not want to choose sides. For decades, the region's strength came from neutrality. Through ASEAN, these nations avoided becoming battlefields for great powers. They traded with everyone, partnered with everyone, benefited from all. But in 2026, that balance is breaking. The world is splitting into rival camps, China on one side, the US and its allies on the other, and both are demanding loyalty. Not loudly, not directly, but through pressure, conditions, and expectations. A country buys Chinese infrastructure. Suddenly, it's expected to support Beijing's positions. Another hosts US forces. Now it's seen as part of Washington's orbit. Neutrality becomes fragile. Leaders across Southeast Asia face an impossible question: how do you stay independent in a world that no longer tolerates the middle? If they lean too far one way, they risk angering the other. If they try to balance both, they risk losing trust from everyone. This is why the region is so valuable and so dangerous, because whoever wins Southeast Asia doesn't just gain territory. They gain legitimacy, they gain momentum, they gain the future. And if one crisis ignites over Taiwan, shipping lanes, or trade, the pressure will be instant. Every nation will be forced to reveal where it truly stands. The tragedy is that these countries never wanted to be the battlefield of empires. Yet history is repeating itself. Once again, great powers are circling. Once again, smaller nations stand in between. And this time, the world is watching. Southeast Asia is no longer just a region on the map. It is the center of gravity of the next world order. In 2026, the struggle for global dominance is no longer fought only with missiles or tanks. It's fought with ports, microchips, loans, data cables, and silent agreements. And all of them are converging here. The next great power may not rise in Washington or Beijing alone. It may rise from whoever masters this region. That is why superpowers are moving quietly, why the deals are secret, why the pressure is invisible. Because whoever controls Southeast Asia controls the flow of trade, technology, and trust. And whoever controls those controls the future. So the next time you hear about a simple port deal in Cambodia, a training exercise in the Philippines, or a new factory in Vietnam, remember, you are not watching development. You are watching the early moves of the next global conflict. The war has already begun. It just doesn't look like war yet.